Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here and for clicking on this video. I'm Ava, and I share the most touching and emotional stories from around the world. Before we start tonight's story, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Alright then, let's begin. I pulled my scarf forward nervously as he stood there with his hands in his pockets. "Miss Elahi, do you need anything else?" he asked. I looked down and quietly said, "No, thank you so much, Mr. Ahmad. You've already done a lot for me and for Ehsan. May God bless his soul." He smiled and said, "It's nothing. I'm just doing what's right. If you ever need anything, you tell me directly, okay? No matter the time, day or night, if you need to go somewhere, just call me and I'll be there." I lowered my head again and thanked him softly. A moment later, my mother came out and said, "Mr. Ahmad, is there anything I can do for you? Please don't be a stranger. Anytime you need something, just let me know." Her eyes were full of tears as she continued, "What can I say, Mr. Ahmad? We're ruined. My poor daughter's life is over before it even began. She's so young. How can she already be a widow? Why did Ehsan have to die so soon? God took the young one and left the old." Ahmad quickly said, "Please, ma'am, don't say that. Death is part of life. It comes to every door sooner or later. But there's wisdom in everything God does. You can't bargain with fate. I'll be around whenever you need help. Don't let sadness take over your heart. God is far greater than all this." He spoke to my mother for a while and then left. About an hour later, there was another knock at the door. My mother opened it and started thanking someone repeatedly. I quickly threw my scarf over my head and went to the door. And there was Ahmad again, standing with bags full of groceries, rice, meat, chicken, and household supplies. I felt embarrassed. I usually wore a full chador in front of him because Ehsan liked it that way. But if I went back inside to put it on, it would have taken too long. So I just stood there in my shawl and thanked him. Without even looking at me, he said, "It's nothing," and left. Ehsan and I had been engaged for 2 years. We hadn't married yet, but we truly loved each other, especially him. Sadly, he died in a motorcycle accident. It's been a month since his passing. My father had already passed away too, and we had no pension, no income, just my mother and me. Ehsan had spoiled me so much that I didn't even know how to work or earn a living. For the past month, Ahmad, Ehsan's best friend, kept bringing us food and things we needed. Every week, he'd show up, drop off enough supplies for days, and quietly leave. I was grateful, but also felt deeply uncomfortable. I didn't know how to repay his kindness. As time went by, his visits became more frequent, and both my mother and I started depending on him more and more. He'd ask, "Is there anything you need?" And no matter what it was, he'd buy it for us. Ehsan hadn't left me much. He wasn't rich. And after his death, his parents took the few things he owned, saying, "You were only engaged to him, not married. None of this belongs to you." Ahmad kept telling me, "You should claim your dowry, file for it legally. They have to pay you." But I couldn't do it. It broke my heart to think that his poor, elderly parents would have to work just to pay me money. So I refused. Instead, I decided to find a job and support myself. I started going around town, applying anywhere I could think of. I was good at cooking, so I tried restaurants. I also went to beauty salons and even doctors' offices for receptionist jobs. Most places accepted me, but I just couldn't do it. I was too soft, too inexperienced. The restaurant was filthy and exhausting, and the beauty salon was full of arrogant rich women. I couldn't imagine working under them. After days of searching, I finally found a job at a doctor's office. It seemed like a good place, and I signed the contract that very evening. It was around 8 p.m. when I came back home, happy that I finally had a job, But as I reached the gate, I saw Ahmad standing there. He frowned and said, "Where have you been, Miss Elahi? It's 8 o'clock already." I smiled and said, "Good evening, Mr. Ahmad. I was out looking for work. Actually, I found a job today." I thought he'd be happy when I told him that. His expression changed. He frowned and said, "What do you mean you found a job? Don't I already buy you everything you need? Where exactly did you find this job?" I tucked my hair under my scarf and replied, "At a doctor's office, a beauty doctor." His frown deepened. "Is the doctor a man or a woman?" he asked sharply. Wondering why he suddenly sounded so possessive, I said quietly, "A man." He gave a sarcastic laugh. "You don't need to work. Whatever you need, I'll buy it for you." That made me angry. "What do you mean you'll buy it for me? You have your own life, your own responsibilities. You've already helped us so much, and I'm grateful. But I want to stand on my own feet, to earn for myself and my mother. I don't want to sit here every week waiting for you to show up with groceries, feeling guilty every time we eat something you paid for." He looked at me for a few seconds and then said, "Listen, I told you I'll provide for you. You don't have to do anything. Why make life harder for yourself? Do you want people to talk about you? To look at you differently?" I rolled my eyes and said, "I can take care of myself. No one's going to treat me differently. I appreciate what you've done, truly, but please, don't overstep. It's my life, and whether I work or not isn't your decision. Honestly, you're the last person who should be interfering in that." I expected him to get angry, maybe even yell, but instead, he smiled faintly and leaned a little closer. "Do you remember the first time we met?" he asked. I blinked, confused. Ahmad and Ehsan used to sell perfumes together. Back when I was still in high school, I went to their shop to buy one. An expensive one. But they tricked me. They put cheap perfume into a fancy bottle and sold it to me. I went home, sprayed it, and immediately noticed it didn't smell the same as the tester I'd tried at the shop. My friend told me, "Oh, that happens. Every time I buy perfume, it smells different later." But I shook my head. "No," I said, "I remember that scent perfectly. This isn't it. They gave me a cheap one instead." I wasn't stupid. I knew what they'd done. I said, "They give us a good sample to smell, then sell us the cheap stuff. I'm going back tomorrow to make them fix this." The next day, I went to the shop. Ehsan wasn't there, but Ahmad was. I confronted him and gave him the perfume back, and he replaced it with the original one. Now, as he was talking, I could see that faint smile on his lips. He said, "That day, I remembered you. You have no idea. I couldn't sleep that night. I was going to tell Ehsan the next day that I liked a girl, but before I could, he said, 'You know, I like someone too.' He told me a girl had come to the shop the day before to apologize for overreacting about a perfume. She said she got the right one and just wanted to say sorry. And right then, I knew he was talking about you." I stared at him, speechless. I asked him, Ahmad continued, "So, what do you want with this girl?" And without hesitation, he said, "Marriage." After that, I stayed quiet. I couldn't say a word. You became his fiancée. And I swear to God, from that moment on, I never looked at you that way again. Not even once. I just stared at him, shocked. When he finally finished speaking, I managed to ask, "So, what are you saying right now?" He gave a small smirk and pointed to himself. "Isn't it obvious? Or does it not matter to you? Are you trying to avoid what's happening?" I said quietly, "Of course it matters. But how can you even say something like that? You were like a brother to Ehsan." He shrugged. "Brothers by blood marry their late brothers' wives all the time. We were just friends. So, if you'll allow it, I'd like to come and officially ask for your hand." I stared at him with wide eyes. Now, in this situation, people will talk. Hassan's family, the neighbors. Please just wait. Let time pass at least a year. Then maybe we can talk about this. But right now, please leave. We've been standing here for 20 minutes. It doesn't look good in front of the neighbors. Part 4. He leaned closer again and said, "Give me your bank account number. From now on, all your expenses are on me. And one more thing, you're not allowed to work anymore. You belong to me now." I froze, embarrassed, nervous, confused. I looked at him for a few seconds, then blurted, "Goodbye," and quickly shut the door. My heart was pounding so fast I could hear it in my ears. I swear to God, before that moment, yes, I was attached to him, but never like this. I'd be lying if I said the thought never crossed my mind, that maybe one day he might fall for me. He was handsome, confident, and kind in his own way. Always there when we needed help. You couldn't help but feel something. But I swear, when Hassan was alive, not once did I ever think about such things. Even up to a month ago, I never thought about him that way. But after 2 months of him constantly showing up at our door, helping us, saying he was our protector, I started thinking about him sometimes at night, just before falling asleep. When I got home, my mom adjusted her glasses and asked, "So, did you find a job?" I sat beside her and said, "Yeah, I did, but Ahmad came by and told me not to go." She frowned and said, "Oh, honey, I know working isn't easy, but please go. Don't let yourself depend on anyone's mercy." I hesitated for a moment and whispered, "Mom, Ahmad told me not to work, and he proposed to me." Her eyes widened, first in shock, then in outrage. She gasped and said, "I knew it. I knew something was off with that man. I've been suspicious from the start. What kind of shameless person falls for his best friend's fiancé?" I frowned. "Mom, don't say that. When I was with Hassan, he never even looked me in the eye. And now, I'm not his friend's fiancé anymore. I'm just a single woman." After that, Ahmad started coming around more often. Sometimes on weekends, he'd pick me up and we'd go out. Sometimes to visit Hassan's grave together. We'd both cry. Maybe he even cried more than I did. Honestly, I was still attached to Hassan. 2 years isn't a short time. I'll admit something, I felt awkward and even a little guilty around Ahmad. But he was so kind, so protective, that I couldn't bring myself to push him away. I kept telling myself, "You're going to marry someone one day anyway. Does it really matter who it is? Would Hassan care?" With those thoughts and a year of him coming and going, Hassan's first death anniversary came around. His parents didn't invite me. I don't know why, maybe resentment, maybe shame, but they didn't. It didn't matter. I held my own little memorial for him. I sold my engagement ring, used the money to buy food and gifts for orphan children. Hassan loved kids. I handed out sweets, prayed for him, then went to his grave, sat down, cried for hours, and poured my heart out to him. 2 months after that, Ahmad officially came to propose. From the moment his family entered our home, I could tell his mother was not happy. Her face was tight, her eyes cold. She didn't want me as her daughter-in-law. I told my mom, but she just brushed it off. "Oh, who cares what she thinks?" she said. "You grab this chance and don't let go. You've been single for a whole year. Did anyone else come knocking? No? Then this one's sent by God. Don't lose him just because his mother has an attitude." So I listened to her. And eventually, Ahmad and I got engaged. But the day we got engaged, the rumors began. Some people said, "She caused Hassan's death. She drove him to that heart attack." Others whispered, "Hassan saw them together. That's why he drove so fast that night." That's why he crashed. A guy who rode motorcycles his whole life doesn't just lose control like that. Others said they were together from the beginning. She and Ahmad planned everything to take Ehsan's shop and his money. Every day there was a new story, a new poison whispered behind our backs. One day, Ehsan's father even showed up, spat in Ahmad's face, and said, "I never knew you were this shameless." All of it broke Ahmad down. He started to look at me differently, not with hate, but with guilt. It was as if he felt ashamed, not of me, but of himself, for what he'd done. And from that moment, everything began to change. When I was with Ehsan, we never had a physical relationship. We were engaged for 2 years, but he always said we should wait until after marriage. But Ahmad, the moment we got engaged, he couldn't wait. He said he couldn't stand the distance, that I was his now. He became possessive, jealous, and he started picking fights over the smallest things. When it was just the two of us, he could be sweet, but whenever he went out, saw his friends, or heard new rumors in the neighborhood, he came back angry, cold, and distant. Back then, things would get so bad between us that I'd ask myself why I even agreed to marry him, why I let myself fall into this humiliation and become Ahmad's wife. One day, he came to pick me up and took me to his house. When we got there, I wasn't in the mood for anything. I sat down quietly. His mother walked in, and when she saw me, I stood up out of respect, then sat back down. She blinked slowly and said sarcastically, "What's this? A royal guest from the palace? She can't even get up and make some tea?" Now, making tea isn't really something that belongs to one person. It's not a big deal for anyone to do. But the tone she used was so harsh and disrespectful that my pride wouldn't let me move. I mean, what would it cost her to say, "Sweetheart, could you please make some tea?" Which girl would say no if you spoke to her kindly? Most girls honestly like to help out in their husband's home. Well, at least many of them do. I stayed where I was and didn't move. Ahmad said, "Get up, go make some tea." Still looking down, I said softly, "I can't. I've got stomach pain. If you told me I was coming here to make tea and work, I wouldn't have come. I would have told you I don't feel well." His mother smirked, gave Ahmad a knowing look, and said, "See? Didn't I tell you? I told you the girl who didn't have mercy on her husband won't have mercy on you either." Tears welled up in my eyes. With my chin trembling, I said, "Mrs. Hallamay, what did I do? What did I ever do that you say I didn't have mercy on my husband? What did I do to poor Ehsan? God rest his soul. Since Ahmad and I got married, what have I done that makes you say I haven't shown mercy?" Ahmad said impatiently, "Be quiet. Don't talk." Through my tears, I said, "Why shouldn't I talk? You don't want to hear the truth, but you're fine throwing cheap words around. Words are free. No one has to pay for them." Ahmad snapped and shouted at me, "Watch your tone when you talk to my mother." I shouted back, "Your mother should respect herself first. What right does she have to talk to me like that? A grown woman who doesn't know how to keep her own dignity is lower than any child." The moment I said that, his hand struck my face, a sharp, stinging slap. His mother started fake crying and wailing like some dramatic old woman in a soap opera. I stormed out of that house furious. Ahmad, who usually never let me walk alone even to the end of the street, didn't follow me this time. I stood on the corner, crying and trying to get a taxi to go home. Every few steps I turned around, hoping to see him behind me, but he wasn't there. Honestly, being in a relationship that everyone disapproves of takes a lot of guts. You have to be smart, alert, and strong enough to face gossip without letting it break you. Ahmad wasn't like that, unfortunately. He let every rumor get to him. People said I was a traitor, that I'd cheated, and he started believing it. No matter how much I told him, "You're the one who wanted to marry me. You're the one who said you loved me from the start. So how am I the traitor here?" It didn't get through his head, but every poisonous word from others stuck in his mind. I went home and told my mom what had happened. She sighed and said, "That snake of a woman. She'll do this more than once. But you, be smart. Go back to your life and your home." I went to bed feeling empty and heartbroken. For days I waited for a message from Ahmad. Anything. But nothing came. I missed him so much, and all I could do was cry. I was deeply attached to him. Imagine, a man who once cared for you, protected you, loved you, suddenly gone. It drives you mad. It breaks you. 2 weeks later, he finally came to my house. I was both hurt and happy to see him, but my pride wouldn't let me show it. I sat silently, eyes down. He smiled slightly and said, "I've done a lot of thinking these past 2 weeks. I gave both of us time to really think." I looked up at him. He spoke softly. "I'm not a cruel man. Even if I make the wrong choice, I stand by it. Because you're my wife, and I'd never disgrace your name. But I had to ask myself whether I truly wanted this marriage, or if I regretted it. The more I thought about it, the more I realized, I can't live without you. I love you so much." People's words, they really got to me. They called me weak, shameless, a fool, a man without honor. But now I think, if I abandon you, then I'll truly be shameless. If I hurt you, then I'll truly be dishonorable. I don't care about what anyone says anymore. Not my mother, not the neighbors, no one. The only thing that matters to me now is you." He took my hand and said, "But I need you to promise me one thing." I looked into his eyes. "What promise?" He said softly, "Promise me you won't ask for a wedding ceremony. My mother refuses to let us have one. She says a girl like you doesn't deserve a wedding. But once we have a baby, she'll come around eventually." I put my hand over his and said, "Ahmad, you know everything about me. You know I'm already your wife. You know I love you deeply. If you'd said you couldn't afford a wedding, I'd understand. If you had any other reason, maybe I'd accept it. But looking me in the eyes and saying your mother doesn't allow a wedding because I'm not worthy, that's something I can't accept. You've already taken everything from me, and that's okay because it was out of love. I don't regret it. If I've had 2 bad days with you, I've had 10 good ones to make up for it. I love you enough to not regret the past. But if you're having second thoughts, then maybe it's best you go." He looked stunned. "When did I say I regret it?" I frowned. That's how it sounded to me. If you didn't regret it, you wouldn't be saying all this. Please just go. Think it through and make the right decision for both of us. He stared at me for a few seconds, frustrated, then finally said, "Fine. We'll have a wedding. If my mother wants to come, she can. If not, that's her choice." When his mother realized we were serious about getting married, with or without her, she suddenly changed her tune. 2 days before the wedding, she called Ahmad and told him to come home. They invited the relatives and made it a bigger celebration. I went to the beauty salon, wore the wedding dress I'd always dreamed of, and despite the stares and whispers around us, I stood beside the man I loved and enjoyed every moment of our wedding day. After our marriage, the gossip never stopped. People whispered behind our backs, pointed fingers, and stared as if we had committed some unforgivable sin. Sure, Ahmad had been my late husband's close friend, and yes, he proposed to me a year after Ahsan's death. But so what? It had become normal for us. We no longer cared. But for others, it wasn't something they could ever let go of. Ahmad's mother, especially, seemed to thrive on stirring up trouble. Every month, at least 3 or 4 times, she'd managed to start some terrible fight between us. Those fights would leave us not speaking for days, full of resentment and hurt. But eventually, we'd calm down, realize how much we loved each other, and make peace again. Then, like poison, she'd show up and start the whole cycle over. When I got pregnant, the gossip finally began to die down. People found new rumors to chase, new scandals to talk about, and we fell from the top of their interest list. One day, I closed the door of our house and was heading toward the car where Ahmad was waiting. Just as I was about to get in, I saw Ehsan's mother. She looked at me with pure hatred and cursed me. She said, "May you never see the baby in your belly." With tears in my eyes, I said, "How can you say something like that to me? Did you expect me to stay alone for the rest of my life after losing your son? You think I shouldn't have married again while I was still young? I heard with my own ears that your current husband is your second one. So, why did you remarry then? Did I commit some sin that you'd curse me like this? But still, I forgive you from the bottom of my heart. I hope you find peace." On the outside, I kept my composure. But once I got into the car, I broke down and cried my heart out. Ahmad didn't say a word. He just sat there, watching silently. Eventually, he realized it couldn't go on like this. The city was too small. There was no escaping the gossip. Everyone knew everything. So, he changed jobs, sold everything we had, and together with my mother, we moved to another city far from his family. That's when I finally understood what real life meant. I realized how much pressure he'd been under, how people's words had pushed him to the edge. In our new home, we faced new challenges, new neighbors, new routines, but we learned together. We rented a 2-story house. We set up our things downstairs, and there was a small room upstairs. My mother chose to live up there. The stairs were wide and short, easy for her to climb. We told her, "Mom, you take the downstairs, we'll go upstairs." But she refused. She said, "No, the downstairs has more rooms. You two take it. I'll be fine upstairs. There's a bathroom, a kitchen. I'll come down once a day. That's all." And Maud agreed, saying, "This way, we're all in the same house. I'll feel better knowing she's close." Life became peaceful. I'd clean the house, cook meals, and when he came home from work, we'd joke, laugh, sometimes go out together. My mother never once interfered, never asked where I was going or questioned Ahmad about anything. And she truly is a kind soul. All she shows is understanding, patience, and love. When our baby was born, she didn't let me lift a finger. She took care of the baby and helped with everything until I recovered. Even now, she helps me look after our child. It's been about 5 years since Ehsan's death. Once or twice a year, we go visit Ahmad's mother and stay for a couple of days just like guests. Then we return home. Because she doesn't see us often, she can't meddle in our lives, and she treats us with more respect now. I think she's afraid that if she crosses the line again, Ahmad might cut ties completely. One day, while visiting our hometown, I ran into Ehsan's sister. She came up to me with a small smile and said, "How are you, Elahi?" I froze for a second, expecting an insult or some harsh words. Instead, I smiled awkwardly and said, "I'm fine, dear. How about you?" She nodded. "Alhamdulillah. Actually, my mom's been wanting to talk to you. She said she once spoke to you very harshly, but then Ehsan came to her in a dream. He told her, 'Leave her alone. She's finally living again. Why are you tormenting her? She's just trying to build a life. Mom, if you ever curse her again, I'll never come to you again.' Since then, my mom hasn't been at peace. She keeps saying she has to ask for your forgiveness." I smiled, pulled her into a hug, and said, "Oh, don't say that. How could I not forgive her? I never even held a grudge. You've always been like a sister to me. I didn't commit any sin. After Ehsan passed, I had no one, just my elderly mother. No suitors, no future. When Ahmad proposed, I said yes. I swear to God, nothing happened between us before that. Then I broke into tears. She started crying too and said softly, I miss Ehsan so much. I missed him too, I whispered softly. I miss him so much. I guess our meeting will have to wait until Judgment Day. From that day on, I felt a strange lightness in my heart, like a heavy weight had finally been lifted. I could feel that neither Ehsan's parents, nor even Ehsan himself, held any grudges against me anymore. I came home and told Ahmad everything Ehsan's sister had said. He felt the same way. He said he also felt something good, peaceful, like the dark cloud that had been hanging over our lives was finally gone. After that visit, we went back to our new city. I haven't had the chance to visit again yet, though Ehsan's mother keeps calling, inviting us to come for Yalda night, the longest night of the year. Maybe we'll go again soon. But I wanted to share my story with you, to tell you that when you hear something about someone, don't just look at the surface. Today, I'm happy with my husband. We love each other deeply and have built a peaceful life together. But the gossip never ends. The rumors never stop. People always talk, especially those who claim to be faithful, yet call us sinners. Please, don't judge anyone unless you've truly walked in their shoes and seen what's in their heart. Judgment belongs only to God. He's the only one who knows our true intentions and what's hidden inside us. And please, I beg you, pray for Ehsan's soul to rest in peace, and pray that my own marriage stays strong. I'm still afraid, deep down, that one day everything could fall apart. Well, my dear friends, that's tonight's story. I hope you enjoyed it. And just a little reminder, whoever leaves the most comments under this post will receive a small gift from me. So if you'd like to win it, go ahead and comment as much as you can. Take care of yourselves and goodbye for now.